Hello everyone, it's BramButterham and welcome back to Let's Play Dragon Age Inquisition, episode 77. In the last episode, we got ourselves the Rift Mage Specialization. Oh, what are you doing there, buddy? Oh my god. We now have our specialization and we are a Rift Mage. And it has been quite some time since I actually recorded an episode because I respect my own character as well as our party members Dorian, Blackwall, and who's it? And Cole, of course. I respect them and I tried out some abilities and see if I like them. Before I continue the let's play, so I'm a bit higher level now. I think I'm level 15, so I think I was about level 14 and a half when I started messing around with specialization abilities and choose the trees which I wanted to respec in. But now I think I got it all sorted. So in the Rift Mage specialization we have Stone Fist. And you summon a boulder from the Fate and smash it into your target, sending them flying. So first of all it knocks them down. It deals 500% weapon damage, and that's spirit damage. Really cool. Only 6.8 seconds cooldown time, not that much. Though the mana cost is kinda high at 50. But oh well. And you can do a cross-class combo with this ability as well. And the upgrade, really cool, makes this an area of effect of 4 meters. So if enemies are clustered, you can hit multiple enemies. And it weakens them for 10 seconds. And that is special about this tree, because as you'll see here, Encircling Veil, the passive ability, has a damage bonus of 25% versus weakened enemies. And 3 magic on unlock. So basically, if you knock them down, they get more vulnerable, I guess, for 10 seconds. And yes, you use stray magic around weakened enemies to increase the power of status effects on them. I'm not really sure what that means. If they take more damage in general, or if it's specific abilities. And let's see. Yeah, this is a comparable skill, I guess. Twisting Veil. You catch stray magic around weakened enemies and use them to increase the damage of your own attacks. I don't really know what the difference of these things is. Maybe the duration bonus versus weakened means that they are weakened for 25% longer, so for like 12.5 seconds. I guess that's it. And then this is the damage bonus. And it unlocks magic as well, which brings us to Pool of the Abyss. Now, this is a really cool ability, as you'll probably see later on in either this video or a next video. You create a tiny rift that pulls enemies towards a central point. Really cool, area of effect of 6 meters, cooldown time of only... Oh wait, the duration is 12 seconds, which is kinda long, and the cooldown time is 27 seconds. A high mana cost of 65, and it has an upgrade of a cooldown reduction of 8 seconds, which is quite a lot, considering that the cooldown usually is 28 seconds. And a weakened duration, so you weaken them again for 10 seconds. Which means, if you cast this spell first, enemies are pulled towards a central point. They are all clustered together within a range of 4 meters, which makes Stone Fist really potent, since it now is an area of effect with this upgrade. And you have extra damage against weakened enemies, so this combination of Pool of the Abyss and then throwing a boulder in there with Stone Fist, really cool. Now, obviously this takes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points already, and we are like only level 15. So I didn't go for this upgrade yet. Focus teamwork, I decided to get rid of that. Then obviously we need Barrier and its upgrade. That really is a must, and it's basically the sort of strategy that I want to adopt with the 2 mages and them both casting Barrier and stuff. So Barrier and the cooldown reduction, that's a must. And the Guardian Spirit, if our health is basically decreased to 0, you automatically get a Barrier. Really cool. Peaceful Aura for threat reduction. That brings us to Dispel, which is really helpful when either fighting dragons I saw that when fighting a dragon that you get sometimes targeted by an area of effect, usually of some sort of elemental damage. You can use Dispel on that as well to not get hit by that, which is really cool, but you'll probably see that later on once we start fighting real big dragons. And obviously for Fade Rifts, if the next wave of enemies spawns, you can get rid of one enemy. And Rejuvenating Barrier, mana regeneration of 35% while an enemy or ally has this barrier active, which means that our tank, Blackwall, he basically permanently needs a barrier, and that gives him extra mana regeneration to do more abilities, I don't know, Shield Bash or something like that. And it unlocks some Constitution as well, which is not a bad thing considering that we are kind of squishy. So those are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points into Spirit as well. And then we have Storm. We are already familiar with this tree. We know Chain Lightning, which still is a really effective ability. Within a distance of 5 meters, you hit 4 times 250% weapon damage. In the form of electricity damage. You can sometimes shock enemies and the cooldown is only 7 seconds. Really useful. Then Energy Barrage, you've seen that as well. You launch a salvo of elemental blasts and that actually does the element of the staff type that you have equipped. So either fire, ice, your respective damage. I got rid of Lightning Bolt. I didn't really feel like it was too powerful. See, electric damage 200% of the weapon damage, while Chain Lightning is 250 and hits 4 times. So yeah, I don't really know. I got rid of this, but I got some extra passives. Stormbringer. Sometimes a random energy bolt will stun or hit a nearby enemy, deal damage, and hopefully stun him as well. Gathering Storm. This is a really interesting one. You use your staff's energy to fill the area with sympathetic magic. Each basic attack shortens your active cooldown times. I'm not yet sure on how this works. It seems kind of overpowered. Cooldown reduction of half a second for each normal attack. And considering that you attack quite fast, I'm not really sure how that works. Maybe it's half a second for each cycle of 3 attacks that we do. Normal attacks, not really sure. Then we have Conductive Current, 5% damage bonus for every 10% missing mana. So what I try to do here is, if I start off combat with Pool of the Abyss, and then a Stone Fist, that will consume most of my mana. Then I start doing normal attacks, so that I reduce my cooldown times on these active abilities. And each normal attack now does more damage, because we have a lot of missing mana. And even our normal attacks will do more damage. That's sort of the thought behind this build. And I actually want to get up to Static Charge and Static Cage as well, or maybe just straight to Static Cage. This is basically sort of a Pool of the Abyss, but then in electrical form. You trap enemies inside an electric field, paralyze those who try to leave. I think this pulls them to 1 point as well. Not really sure, but maybe. And it has a damage upgrade. So maybe we want to go for that, but we'll see that at a later point when we actually level up again. Now, I got some random abilities for Iron Bull and for our other companions that we don't really use now. I gave him Ring of Pain as a Reaver specialization. I gave him some more Battle Master, some Pommel Strikes and stuff. But I'm not really interested in that at the moment, since we don't really use him. Same as for Solus. Obviously he's a Rift Mage as well, but I spec'd him into the Ice Tree instead of the Storm Tree. Vivienne, same. Spec'd her into the Fire or Inferno Tree and gave her a Spirit Blade and Disruption Field. But we'll go over that once we actually use those companions. Now Cole. We do use you, and we already had most of these abilities. I think I added Leaping Shot. I'm not really sure if that was in the last episode already. You dive out of trouble and fire a hail of arrows at the enemies that were trying to close with you. So if someone sneaks up on you with a dagger or a sword, you jump back, do sort of an evasive maneuver, and you shoot at the enemies. And that is really cool because you get away and do damage at the same time. 12 projectiles for 50% weapon damage altogether, which is really good. A low mana cost and a low cooldown time. And the rolling draw is when leaping shot hits, you can use the momentum of your leap to do a stronger draw as you come back to your feet. Your next attack, whenever you make it, will knock down its target and do extra damage. I didn't really feel the benefit of this upgrade yet, but I assume that if we don't control Cole, he'll probably make use of this himself. And that's about the upgrades for Cole, I guess, in this tree. But he is an assassin as well. So I decided to get rid of Knockout Bomb, and you'll see why in a second. We still have the Hidden Blades with the upgrade. Basically, one of the best abilities in the game, I think, so far, which is actually fun to use. A total of 6 hits with 300% weapon damage per hit. Really, really cool, really awesome. And that combines really well with the Mark of Death. And in previous games, the Mark of Death was an extra vulnerability hex on an enemy. Now I finally figured out how this actually works in this game. It stores 100% of the dealt damage within a duration of 8 seconds. So as soon as you cast the mark on an enemy, the 8-second counter starts, basically, and all the damage that you deal within that 8-second period or time frame gets doubled basically after that time span, and is instantly dealt then, which is incredible, because if you cast Mark of Death first, and then do your Hidden Blades ability, which does ridiculously large amount of damage. And then you activate this Mark of Death, which basically unleashes all the stored damage. Man, that is massive damage. Really, really cool. I really like that. And you'll probably see that in the upcoming combat quite a bit. Now, we got rid of poison weapons over here. I feel that's more useful in the beginning of the game for some reason. But we are now into Subterfuge. We still have Stealth, but not really the upgrade. Maybe if I start getting detected more and more by Cole, I'll give him a point into that. I don't feel it's really needed now. We still go for Easy to Miss, Threat Reduction, and Flanking Threat Reduction. I think that this is sort of an evasion in and on its own. Flanking threat reduction of 100%. They basically won't recognize you then, I guess. That brings us to Knockout Powder. And this is why I got rid of the Knockout Bomb in the Assassin tree. Because Knockout Powder, you throw a handful of those dust to an enemy's face, putting them to sleep for a short time. Duration of 10 seconds, an area of effect of 6 meters. And a cooldown time of 17 seconds, which is not too punishing, and neither is the stamina cost of 35. And I feel that sometimes you get overwhelmed a bit by enemies, and if you want to focus on an enemy, and you get flanked, for example, you can throw a Knockout Powder, focus on your enemy first, on one enemy, and then switch to the one that you temporarily disabled through Knockout Powder. Then for our final abilities with Cole, we have Shadow Strike. And this is actually really fun. You take your enemy by surprise with an attack that they never see coming. If you are in stealth or not have taken damage recently, this attack hits even harder. So a base damage of 400% weapon damage, with a stealth bonus of 200%, and the threshold for not taking damage recently is 5 seconds. And that is not that much, because usually Blackwall taunts everyone and Cole doesn't get hit in the first place. And this combines really well with, well, both its upgrade, which is a cost reduction and a cooldown reduction, and you reduce all of your active cooldown times. So this cooldown reduction not only applies to Shadow Strike, but only to all your other abilities, which is really cool. And that basically makes for a strategy where you first hit an enemy with the Mark of Death, which starts the time counter of 8 seconds. You hit him with Hidden Blades, go into stealth, for example, or the other way around, go into stealth first, hit them with Hidden Blades. Then you didn't take any damage yet, so you hit them with Shadow Strike, which is another 600% weapon damage, 400 plus 200. And then you unleash all the store damage with Mark of Death. That makes for an awesome opening move. I like that so much with Cole. But I'm still messing around with that. And then Blackwall. His abilities are sort of the same, I guess. Shield Wall, really helpful. Deflects incoming attacks and builds up guard. Extra Constitution passive and makes you less likely to be staggered or flanked. Shield Bash, really helpful against guarded enemies, which I think we'll encounter a lot more in the later stages of the game. So we'll probably get that upgrade soon as well. And then Thunderblade, a flat out damage reduction from the front as well as some Constitution. I didn't really bother with Payback Strike for now. I really want Blackwall to be the tank, while we can deal damage with Cole and with the 2 mages now. So that is the weapon and shield. Then we have the Vanguard, basically the abilities that you already know. I'll go over this a bit faster. Warcry to taunt everyone. Really cool, really helpful. Generate some guard. Challenge, the same, but then a taunt for one enemy, basically, that you selectively pick. We do have Charging Bull. Now, this is kind of a weird ability that I think you can only use effectively once you control this character. But you run around, as soon as you hit an enemy, you knock him down, deal 150% weapon damage, and generate guard. Kinda cool. And the stamina cost is not really too high for 5 stamina per second. That's kinda helpful if someone hits your mage, for example, and you need to help that mage in that sense. Then some passives for a flat out damage bonus, return damage, so basically all your attackers get hit as well, a maximum guard bonus and constitution unlock. And then instead of bodyguard that we had earlier on, I now went for Unbowed, which is sort of a war cry, I guess, but it doesn't really taunt enemies, but you generate guard for every enemy that's around you, which can really help in case of trouble if all your guard is gone and if we have no available barrier, but you do have enough stamina for this ability and you are surrounded by a lot of enemies. You can do this. And still standing, you get a guard generation bonus of 100%. So that's really cool. So I guess that generates 20% guard then per enemy. That for Blackwall, and then we have Dorian. Dorian, we gave him the barrier and its upgrade, which is a must, and some threat reduction and willpower, extra willpower that comes with the passive. Because I feel it's a must. Then we have the standard ability, Energy Barrage, which is really good to just increase the damage output for a bit. And then his specialization, the Necromancer, which start off with Horror, and I think we've already seen this. An area of effect that terrifies enemies within, and deals spirit damage per second, as well as reduces the armor. Then there are sort of 2 trees, which end in 2 active abilities. I didn't go for the Spirit Mark, which if a target dies while marked by this, the spirit mimics the victim's body and will fight on your behalf. I didn't really try this, I didn't really bother, but that's mostly because I'm interested in this ability, Walking Bomb. You curse an enemy, inflicting ongoing spirit damage, and then trigger the curse in a devastating explosion. This works similarly to the Mark of Death, where you activate the ability, inflict the spirit damage, and you curse the enemy, and for 10 seconds you build up spirit damage that you then can unleash or trigger manually by pressing the button again and unleashing all that spirit damage that has been built up. And it has an upgrade, Virulent? I don't really know how to pronounce that. The Walking Bomb kills the target and the effect spreads to nearby enemies, causing secondary explosions, which is really cool. Especially because we ourselves are a Rift Mage, and we have the Pool of the Abyss that pulls all the enemies together, all in one place. So that really makes sense for Walking Bomb then. target the weakest of these enemies, inflict Walking Bomb, use Coal, use his Hidden Blades, and the Mark of Death, kill that target as fast as possible, and cause all secondary explosions with the Virulent Walking Bomb. Really cool. Then there are 2 more passives. If you are knocked unconscious, a spirit you control takes on your likeness and fights on your behalf. It's basically you can fight for 10 seconds longer, and then you pass out. Blinding Terror is an increased damage bonus versus panicked enemies, and you unlock magic. This is really awesome, because first of all, you panic enemies with horror, and I guess if you do that and then inflict Walking Bomb, it does more damage, which makes sense within this tree of the Necromancer. But apart from getting Winter's Grasp for him as well, which I just have as a basic attack to switch things up a little, we spec'd Dorian into the Inferno tree. Because Immolate over here, it panics enemies as well, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that... I think they are panicked by this ability, but I'm not really sure because I don't see it in the description. I thought that was the case. Which does extra damage because of the Necromancer passive that we have. Then Flashpoint is a cooldown time of... Wait. No, let's see. After you land a critical hit, your next spell doesn't trigger a cooldown period. I don't really say why it says cooldown time then over here, but oh well. Moving on to Pyromancer. You have mastered the summoning of fire, increasing your effectiveness when panicking or burning enemies. Yeah, so I don't really know if panicking is the equivalent of burning then, or if these two happen simultaneously. But you have a fear duration bonus and a burning duration bonus, both of 25% and some unlocked willpower. I thought that worked kind of well with the Necromancer specialization. Then we have Fire Mine, which is amazing because it deals 1600% weapon damage. It has an activation delay of 3 seconds and a cooldown time of 20.4, but only costs 35 stamina. This is awesome and works so well with Pool of the Abyss. You pull all the enemies together, for example. Then you cast Fire Mine underneath the whole group of enemies. You throw a Stone Fist in there. You throw a horror spell in there and a Walking Bomb. I don't know, and everything just explodes and deals damage and whatnot. 1600% weapon damage is amazing. Along with the upgrade, 200% extra weapon damage and burning the enemies, as well as sending them flying when there are weaker enemies. It is awesome and it works so well, especially with the final passive that we add to this build for now, Chaotic Focus. When you cast a fire spell, the spell consumes half of your current barrier to empower it. The larger the barrier consumed, the greater bonus to the spell's damage. And because we focus so much on double barrier, and I really love that strategy, we always should have a barrier available. For Dorian, cast that on himself, or Neria cast it on him, so he can fully benefit from the barrier bonus of 50%. Cast a Fire Mine, and then just do a ridiculous amount of damage. I'm actually not really sure. The larger the barrier consumed, the greater the bonus to the spell's damage. I wonder if it is also a damage increase of 50%. That would be ridiculous, because then we have 1600% weapon damage, plus 200, which equals 1800% weapon damage, plus 50% if we consume half of our barrier. That would make for 2700% weapon damage for a Fire Mine. That is just awesome. And that is all the builds for our companions so far. I don't think I'll go into the others for now, like Vivian, Solus, or anything. We'll do that if we switch up our party, maybe later on in the game. But now at least you have an overview of the talents that we have. And man, that's almost a whole episode already. That was kind of a lot of explaining. But yeah, there's been, I guess, about 2 hours of gameplay between this episode and the last, because I messed around a bit with some other abilities as well, and I just try to figure out the best builds to get now for our own character and for our companions. And this is what I came up with, and hopefully it will work well in the future episodes. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something useful about some possible builds for your companions in Dragon Age Inquisition. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next episode to be uploaded soon. Thanks for watching, guys.